I'm afraid to speak English, people will laugh at me. What if I start a conversation with a native speaker and I suddenly forget words? What if I just can't support a conversation? Like, I won't be able to use my English. I have so many fears. What should I do? Hey guys, welcome to my video. Today we're gonna talk about those questions that arise in your head whenever you are confronted with a situation to speak to a native speaker in English. I just want to say, first of all, I'm pretty sure you have heard that many times that it's just all in your head, but I know we need to kind of dig deeper and talk about your fears. Because I had those fears, even though when I speak English, because I'm a perfectionist, I get very nervous because I know I make mistakes, I know I forget words, and I know everything like this happens, and my face turns red. And it actually starts happening when I'm relaxed, my English is a lot better. Like if I'm in an environment just talking to friends or just talking to someone at a store, it will be like really smooth language. When I start thinking oh my god, this is one of the reasons I stopped recording videos about English, just because it's been declining and I have those fears, but I also have them in Indonesia. But with English, I understood that English is a tool, it's an instrument that I use to improve my life, and without it, I won't be able to achieve my new goals, I won't be able to get to new levels of everything. So today I'm gonna start with fear number one. People are gonna laugh at me. The only time I've been laughed at in terms of my English, laugh in real life, I get mocked about my accent a lot on social media. But it happens because I get hundreds of thousands of views, and I understand that even kittens get dislikes on YouTube, and there will be people who are unhappy with whatever I'm doing, and just because I'm doing it, they will be posting bad comments and hating me for whatever I do. But I also understand sometimes it's actually good to have that feedback, because people tell me, oh Charles, that was correct, that was wrong, that phrase wasn't correct. But they're not laughing at me, they're telling me how to improve, and I accept that with gratitude. So the only time I've been laughed at actually happened when I was talking to my friend and I told him I was so hooked up with this person. I want to say that we are really connected with a person, but I use a phrasal verb to hook up with someone, and it actually meant have a sexual relationship, and it wasn't what I mean. And another time it happened recently on Instagram. I came to a butcher store and I posted a story that I miss his meat. And meat in American conversational English, when you say I miss his meat, means I miss his penis, and again people laugh at me. But I thought it was funny. It was like people, oh my god, Charles, do you know it has a second meaning? It's not like they are angry at me for making that mistake. It was a friendly advice. So I've never ever had people in real life laugh at me, say, oh my god, your English is so bad, what are you doing here? Never ever happened in my life. And I start practicing English at the age of 14, and I was hanging out with really mean, teenager can be really mean, and they can tell really bad things in your face. But that never ever happened to me, because people understand that I'm making an effort to be understood. They understand that I come from a completely different culture, that I've never spoken English to my parents, to my grandparents. So the only exception here is social media. If you are speaking English in social media, just be ready to get those hate comments. And even if you have perfect score in English on TOEFL, and you post a video how you got that score, you will still if it goes viral, you will still get comments from people it's impossible, your English is not good enough, etc. There will always be people on social media hating you, but in real life there's this tiny chance it's gonna happen, but it's not gonna happen, guys. Native speakers, especially Americans, especially British people, are gonna very friendly in real life. People who I meet, people who I talk to in English, even when I was intermediate, they were really friendly and really supportive. So it's all in our heads, and I think if you have these fears in English, people will laugh at you, you probably have it in other aspects of your life. So it's just another reason for you to sit down with yourself and think about like I don't have to be liked by everyone, and again I'm a person who has this feeling all the time. I want to be liked by I want to be liked by everyone. I want it. I'm fighting this. Once I start my channel, I realized I can be liked by everyone, but it was really hurting me every time I read something negative about myself, and it took me a while to understand and to realize that my goal is to use my talent, is to grow as an entrepreneur, YouTuber, whatever, as a dad, and do the best thing that I can. What other people think about me is others people's business. They have their own understanding of reality. They have their own experience. Maybe they just have a bad day, but it doesn't have anything to do with me. And if you want to dig deeper in this problem, I really advise you to read a book, The Courage to Be Disliked. It's like one of those books that I started reading last year. I think last year I had this personality crisis, but I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. I'm afraid to do this because people will comment and they will be unhappy with what I do. And I start just doing a lot of psychological research, and I start reading a lot of books. And that was one of the books that really helped me. Like, it just talks about how you can control others people's emotions. You can control what they think of you. What you have to do is focus on what you can do the best, is focus on your goals and start and achieve them. Another thing I could recommend was watch the one on Netflix. It talks just about this woman entrepreneur who's a little ruthless, and she's not like a role model that I want you to follow, but it just talks about like how she deals with all the problems that arise. When I was thinking like if I were at her place, I would have definitely given up, but she continued going. I really encourage you to read those books, to watch the one on Netflix, and to just read interviews related to this topic, because this will help you in your life in general, not just with English. Of course, you will realize that the majority of people won't laugh at you, and if they will, it's their problem. It's not your problem. You are doing your best, you are practicing your English, you are putting effort into being understood by people who don't even speak your language and don't even make an effort to learn your language. Okay, let's move to some practical advice regarding other things that you can do. So there's another fear. What if the conversation gets too complicated and I won't be able to support it? I also get these fears, like, for example, again, I can really relate to this in Bahasa right now because my language is pretty advanced to talk about all kinds of topics. But with English, I can totally relate. And when people start asking me about business, as I understand that I will start a conversation, I will talk about my company, but if they start digging deeper, I would be like, oh my god, this is too complicated. And in 2018, I had to have a surgery in English, and I was surprised. I was actually able to communicate with doctor and nurse about medical stuff, because basically when we talk about Bahasa, we have 1,000 words that make up 86 of the conversation. And what you really need to know, if you know those 1,000 words, if you go into specific conversation, you can always ask for definitions of like specific words. So it was in English doing the surgery, I was like, oh, and what is this in English? I can say that in Bahasa, or I could show you on Google. And once I learned like 5 or 7 words that I need to that were related to that surgery, the conversation become really easy, because you don't need to know like the whole idea of surgery, medical, business vocabulary to support an advanced conversation. All you need is 1,000 words. And also, if you are like, oh, I don't know how many words I know right now, this doesn't actually matter. If you understand this video, that means you know enough words that to support a conversation. So start practicing, and if you forget a word, if you don't know the term, you can just Google it on your phone with Google Translate, and show your party this word and you will be totally fine, and this is the way you learn this word really fast. Let's continue with another question. What if I feel shy? What if I stop and freeze? Okay, this can happen as well if you are too nervous about the conversation. The trick that helps me a lot is to pretend that you are someone else, because again stopping and freezing has to do something with what's going on with you internally. Like maybe you are again thinking that people are gonna laugh at you, and just there are so many thoughts on in your head that you can just process them. So imagine that you are a different person. You probably, if you are speaking to another speaker, you are probably in a new country, nobody knows you, and once this conversation is over you will part ways with this person. So try to pretend you are your favorite movie character. Try to pretend you are an American if you are in America. Try to pretend that you are this famous blogger that you really like. I don't know, try to pretend to be someone else just for this conversation. It just lets your fears go and it helps you become more confident when you speak. What if I offend someone? There's another fear, and one thing I want to remember here is that when we talk to a person, people pay attention to our body language, to our facial expressions or emotions. And even if you say something incorrectly in English, they would understand you didn't really mean it. And also they would understand, like if they tell you about something and you don't understand, but you just say yes, and a lot of times people will tell you but you didn't understand, right? And they would explain in another way. It's okay to say, oh, I didn't mean it. Sorry, was that offensive because my English is not good enough? It's okay, but if you are smiling, if you are open, then people will understand 100 that you didn't mean to offend them, that it was like, oh my god, I'm sorry, that is something that we are used to in our culture, or mix up the word people will understand. Now let's wrap up this video with a couple of tips. If you have an important conversation English coming up, maybe you have an interview with a university, or I remember when we were preparing for Y Combinator interview, it's an accelerator here in Silicon Valley. The worst mistake that you can do is actually overthink. It makes sense to prepare, it makes sense to go through questions that were asked before in this kind of environment, like go through questions that universities ask during the interview, go through questions that people are normally asked, etc. But I would say take your time, prepare for 2 hours, but don't take too long. Because when it takes too long, when it takes days, we over prepare for Y Combinator interview, and instead of relaxing instead of just catching the vibe of Silicon Valley, we were just brainstorming how we're gonna fight that small company that is trying to do the same thing, and people there didn't even know what about it. And like now when I look back at it, it's important to know what you are talking about, like to tell your story, to tell why you are interested in this or that university, this or that subject. But don't overthink, like they would probably ask basic question, or if they ask some complicated question, it is almost impossible to predict what they're going to ask. So learn some basic things, but then let yourself relax. Watch something in English, just put yourself into that environment before the conversation or before the test, so that your brain switch from your language into English. It will be a lot easier. The next tip, be nervous and do it anyways. Michael Jordan once said, being nervous isn't bad. It just means something important is happening. So my tip here, and I did in interview with Justin Han on Silicon Valley Girl, and he said, don't be afraid of your emotions, don't suppress them. Tell yourself, okay, I'm nervous about this conversation I'm gonna have in English. It's fine, I understand that I'm nervous because it is an important conversation. I understand that my English is maybe not good enough and I haven't practiced a lot, but I'm gonna do it anyways. and I'm gonna use this conversation as a practice. And after the conversation, I'm gonna sit down and think what was good and what was bad. I was really bad at like analyzing things afterwards because I'm this perfectionist. And when I shoot a video, I don't want to see it just because I understand I could have done better, and this is an endless process. But I actually taught myself to look at the numbers. I taught myself to actually sit down and think what I did wrong and what could be done better, and it helps a lot with your progressions. So after the conversations, sit down with yourself and I think did I do everything I could do, and if not, just have some tips for yourself for the next conversations. And I have this note in my phone where I just put in things that I could do better in my videos, and I have those tips and that I always look at before an important video, and just remind myself that I make those mistakes. It is okay and it's good that I know about them, and I'm gonna be better in the next video. The next step, do it until it feels normal. Just keep having those conversations in English. Keep being shy. Keep being nervous. At some stage, you are gonna be tired of it. Especially if you are in an English-speaking country, or if you are applying to universities. Like I have a lot of people here in the UAS who are applying in the universities, mostly my friends, but they are applying to like 24 college at once. And interview number 10, you just get tired of it and you just get used to it, and you don't feel nervous anymore. So keep doing. Aside of the growth mindset, something we have already talked about, like I'm bad at speaking English. My accent's not good enough yet, but I'm using this as a way to practice, and I'm using this exact conversation as my way to improve. Learn to laugh at yourself. Life is simple. We overcomplicate so many things. We tend to think that this meeting is game changer. It is not. You can always do another meetings. There are so many in the world. There are so many opportunities, and if you don't get any results from the upcoming conversation, it doesn't matter. You can do a lot more conversations. The most important thing is that you have yourself. You have your time. You have your brain that helps you speak English. Like, don't create problems for yourself. Enjoy life. We only have one life, and I want you to go ahead and enjoy it, and look at everything from a positive perspective, especially if it's something like smaller, like conversation with a native speaker. Come on, it's gonna be fine. Life is easy. Smile. Tell yourself that if not today, you're gonna make it tomorrow. If not tomorrow, you're gonna make it in a week. It's fine, you'll get there. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope we get something to learn from this video. Bye.